Okay, so today we will see the security, and that's the last module of our training. I will not say last module, basically I would say second last module of our administrative trainings. And apart from that, so in this security module, we'll talk about integration with LDAP, Kerberos security, Ranger, Knox, and then afterwards we will see the some of the data recovery. ACLs also we'll see here, access control list. Um, and then the next topic would be data recovery, data backup, and the one more rack awareness, configuring the rack awareness. That's also will see. That also will see. But this is this is a major module which we are going to cover.
Okay.
Let's go. So one of the major things that why you want to integrate this. So first today we'll see the LDAP, a lightweight directory access protocol, integrating with your LDAP or Active Directory. AD, you say Active Directory, but Active Directory is for Windows, which we are not going to cover. We are going to use the LDAP, lightweight directory access protocol, which is more of a Linux kind of thing. So we will be able to see that how do we actually integrate with our LDAP. Okay, LDAP server machines and Active Directory. So you can think active. I don't know how to. I mean, there is a way to integrate your Active Directory, but I'm not going to cover. We are going to see that how to integrate our Ambari with the LDAP. And the major motivation of our major motivation that we want to use admin, that we want to use LDAP, or that we want to integrate the LDAP with the our Ambari is the security reasons, right? One of the major thing is that if you see the everyone right now, the default user is admin user, and this admin user, the password is also admin, of course. But if you but this admin user is capable of doing everything because he's a super user, and you have created a cluster, let's say, and you wanted someone to use your cluster. And what, for example, you want your colleague to monitor your cluster, see if the HDFS is doing some out of capacity, if the memory is high or the CPU is high. You wanted him to report back. But if you give him the admin privileges, then if something goes wrong, if he does something, if he does something wrong, then you are gone, right? So in that case, what you want to do here, if you want to give, if you have some this kind of activity wherein you are giving someone to monitor your cluster, you might want to give the read-only access to that user. So what you want to do is to create another user, right? You will create a separate user in Ambari, and then you will do that. But now
Okay.
think of, you have about 2,000 users, 2,000 users in your organization. You cannot create in Ambari. You cannot create users in Ambari for 2,000. So if you have time and money, you can go ahead and create you can create 2,000 separate users in Ambari, and you have to remember that which user belongs to which. Here which user belongs to which user. You have to remember that, right? Instead of that, why you want to create 2,000 users? Since if it is the organization is already maintaining some Active Directory or LDAP server, why don't you use that and make sure, and you have the default roles assigned here for each and every user who logs in. So you have a flexibility that you integrate your Ambari with your LDAP, and you assign a default role for each and every and you assign a default role, meaning that anyone who is gonna who will use its LDAP username, right? He will be assigned a default role that can be a, let's say, read only role, something like this. So that's the major motivation of having a LDAP. That you now, once you have your cluster ready, you wanted to give this cluster to the organization by making sure that you don't pass the admin passwords, admin privileges. Instead of that, you are making them to enter their LDAP username, whatever username the company has provided them. You are making them to use their username, LDAP username, and the same credential, whatever they are using, the same credential, same password you told. So the burden of creating the username and password is not with the Ambari, it's with the LDAP. So anyone who's existing, they have their own LDAP user and password already there. That's how they are accessing their Outlook, right? So using that LDAP username and that LDAP password, you are going to log in onto the Ambari, and we will be assigning a default role. So anyone who is joining a new, they will have a default role of read only role. And if you want to give some extra permission to that particular user, then admin will come into picture and he will give extra roles by some by manual intervention. I hope you got it right, guys.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So since we don't have an LDAP
Uh,
user,
so,
yeah.
I have one question here. I got the context. So you are saying we want LDAP to manage the Ambari server. Is that the context, or because like
No. Why LDAP will exist even if Ambari is not there, right? How do you
yeah,
tell me one thing? You are working in company. Everyone has you have got a laptop using which Outlook you access, right?
yes,
Yeah, Outlook has a username and password,
yes,
and that username and password is somewhere stored in your centralized repository,
yes, that's
right?
correct.
And that is accessible, and you use that same username and password to access different portals,
That's
not
correct.
only
Yes,
Outlook but
Tom.
different portals.
Yeah.
And for different portals, you don't want to you never create a different username and password. You use the same username and password which you have got it.
Yes.
I am
Yeah.
also saying that Ambari is also a portal, and I wanted to make sure that you enter instead of admin user and the password which Ambari gives by default. You don't want to pass on that. You don't want to pass the admin privileges, float the admin privileges among your 2,000 employees in your company. Let them use their LDAP username and password and log into my portal.
Okay. So actually, I have one confusion here. As an end user who will be submitting the job to the cluster, basically it's a Unix user. So would that information also be stored in the LDAP?
Submitting the job, one is Ambari users who using the Ambari. They're two different things. No?
Oh,
You can see one is logging onto the machine. Again, logging onto the machine, you can use LDAP, and you will have that. So LDAP, whenever you use LDAP user, and if your machine is configured, if any machine, right, you will see that whenever you create an LDAP user, you actually create a home directory also.
yes,
So any machine when you enter with your LDAP user, well, let's say whatever VPN is your LDAP user, so there will be a home directory by name /home/VPN automatically gets
yes.
created for you. Okay, so
Okay,
with the VPN user also, user also, you can submit the job.
okay, yes,
You will see that right now in this
yes.
exercise, I will create a LDAP users.
Okay. So do we need to? Okay, fine,
So
fine.
I am
Thanks, Om.
going to create a LDAP server now. So I am assuming I am a company. If I am a company,
Yes.
then I need to have that LDAP LDAP server where all my
Okay.
users are created. I want to create that first. I don't have, right. It's a training. I don't
Yes.
have an active directory of 2,000 employees. I will create a company. If I'm creating a company right now, let's assume that I'm going to create a company as an administrator. First and foremost, my intention is to create an LDAP server where all my users will be there.
We got it. Yes.
Hmm?
Okay. Yes. Yes, server.
So
I'm
I'm
so
going to
sorry.
create
Yes, Om. I got it.
I'm going to create a server. Okay. So
Okay.
and for that purpose, we are going to use the Open LDAP, and
Oh,
first we are going to create the first we are going to run the Open LDAP server, and then in this server we are going to use create some users. After creating some users, we will use that users, assuming, and we will integrate that LDAP server. We will sync our LDAP server with the Ambari, and then we will use our LDAP username and password, and then we'll log in into our Ambari server. No, and no more we'll be using admin or whatever it is. Okay.
Okay.
So just a question. This Open LDAP, it comes as free with all Linux installations, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So one more question I have. Usually when we log to the Unix, the user would details are in etc password. So can we integrate the Unix with the LDAP so that all the information regarding users are stored in the LDAP rather than in the Unix box itself?
We
Is
can
that
do.
a possibility also?
Of course, it's a possibility. That's what we are trying to do now. You don't want the etc password; it can be part of your LDAP server.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Thanks so much.
So first and the foremost, we are gonna um, download the few components: OpenLDAP, OpenLDAP client, servers, and migration tools. And then, okay. And here it says that make sure you have provided the mapping of machines in the etc hosts file. Just give me 1 minute. So here it says that whether you have provided the mapping of the etc mapping of machines in the etc host file. Uh, it's not required in this. I would say in EC2 because they are all in the same subnet, so it will be able to communicate. So I'll skip this step. But if it creates later problem, we can always provide the etc host entry. Right now, I'm going to skip this entry, skip this step, and then I'm going to sudo slap password, slap password. So it's going to generate. Okay, so I'm going to give a password of my choice, so which I'm giving as a training, and it again asking the password. So I'll give training. Again, the password is training. Now I'm going to save this encrypted password here for my reference, which will be used later. Okay, so and then we are going to go to this location, and we are going to configure our LDAP server. So it's all configurations, guys. So first and the foremost, and I'm not. It's a configuration of LDAP, and LDAP in its own is a very big topic. So I'm just configuring the LDAP server. My whole intention is to integrate the LDAP server and the LDAP users with the Ambari. Okay. Um, I'm going to enter into that. First, sudo su minus. Let me just directly as a root user go inside my folder, and then it's asking me to go into the config file. Let me first do an ls minus ltr to show you the files here, cn config. So it is asking me to go inside the config file. Okay, and now I'm going to we need to edit this file, hdb.ldif file, and there we are going to provide our domain controller. So edit this file, hdb.ldif. Um, okay, and the one which needs to be modified is highlighted in red, and the one which needs to be highlighted in green. Okay, so what we're gonna do now is to, okay, and this is the basically atos.com. So if you see that here, if config, I'm very sorry, not the if config, host name. Our host name has a domain name, and the domain name you're gonna take it as a compute.internal. Okay, this will be our domain name. So domain name is generally you give your company name, like for example, the host name could be machine.harman.com, machine.cgi.com. So cgi.com is the domain name. So generally that is the domain name, right? Okay, so we are gonna first vi olc suffix. So that could be dc is equal to internal, was that right? Internal.com. This will be internal. Yeah, compute.internal, very sorry, compute.internal. So DC would be compute.internal. This will be compute, and this will be internal. Compute.internal. That's how it is pronounced. And here also we're gonna change compute.internal, OLC root 2n, compute internal. Okay. And then we're gonna provide these three entries. And this is the password which we have to give, that the one which we have just copied. Okay, and you can leave this as is, but I will change it. Instead of atos, my ldap.pem and my ldap key.pem. So that's your certificate file and the certificate key file. Okay, and then we are also going to monitor the LDIF file. That's monitor.ldif file. Vi, and here we have to modify the domain compute.internal. Compute internal. That's what we need to change here. And then verify the configuration. We are going to verify the configuration by running the slap test -u, and it might not find the PEM file and all. That's okay. We'll create it later. So it says that config file testing succeeded. That means it's good. But checksum error. So don't worry about the checksum error because it is not able to find that key files, and it's okay. But we are saying that config file testing succeeded. Now we are going to start the LDAP server. Sudo systemctl slapd, and we are going to enable it so that at every reboot it starts automatically. Okay, and then we also check the status so that we know it's an active state. It's active state. Okay, and saying that, let's check out the port, which is the port 389, is whether it's opened or not. So it's here, it's open 389. So LDAP server is listing onto that port. Also, netstart -lt. That's your LDAP port. That's what it is saying. So the command is little wrong here, so I'll change it. Let's start. Okay, now we are going to copy the database files to a particular folder. So right now it's a template file. If you just wanted to see this, how does feel like looks like, so we'll just see that. So here, if you see this, just it's a dbconfig file, which is of nothing. Actually, set data directory, set it just check the log size, log directory, and everything. Set cache size, set data directory, and all. So we'll just first what we're going to do here is we are just going to copy onto varlib LDAP, and it's also changing the ownership. So fine, we'll change the ownership of our file. So be aware of cut, copy, paste commands. Okay. Now from here we are going to use the schemas. Now the schemas are basically in the LDAP world. In the LDAP, when you do that, so each and every how do you actually want to create directory? For example, you actually start with your root directory. Then you have lot other. For example, you have a company's root directory, right? So you have something. So you have what happened? So you have a company root directory. Then you have a managers, admin. Then you have a lot of directory hierarchical structure. Once you have a hierarchical structure, then you have again inside that hierarchical structures. So that's how. So let's say this is your. Let me just pull it up from the net. That would be much more easier for to understand. So something like this. So you have a root under this, you have your domain controller sun.com, then you have a OU groups, people, under people you have it's a simple structure. Now again, if you want to have a bigger structure, something like this, it can have devel for development, out, IT. You can do lot bigger structures. So it's just a simple structure wherein you have a domain, you have a root, then you have a domain, under domain, people belonging to US, people belonging to India, people belonging to blah blah blah, various locations, and then under that you have people coming into first name, last name, everything. So that's your, it's defined by your schemas, and that's what we're gonna actually use the schemas to add to our database. So we are adding the schema to our database, adding new entry, so it has added this entry. Similarly, it is going to add the NIS LDIF. So if you want to know more, you can actually go and read about LDAP. We have added all the schemas, and then we are. So if you remember here, there I have given some my ldap.pem, my ldap-key.pem in our HDB file. So here we are going to create our own self-signed certificates.
So
Yeah.
I have one question. Basically, I have a doubt between OpenSSL and OpenSSH. If you can just brief a bit.
OpenSSH is SSH. It is a secure socket layer communication. For SSL communication, SSH is just simple secure shell host. SSH is different. SSH is just doing a connection from one machine to other machine. SSL is when you are doing the communication, it is making the communication secure.
Okay, so SSL means it creates a security. Sorry, the certificate,
Yeah.
public-private key. Is it the same concept, something similar to that?
It's the same tier. What kind of mechanism you want to use? So you create your self-signed certificate, which is valid for 365 days. And what is that certificates? Kind of certificates you're gonna do that. So SSL is your secure socket layer communication. So SSH you can make it secure by using SSL. So you do an HTTPS connections, right? It is through SSL.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So probably maybe I will have to read more for this.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Thanks so much.
I just wanted to see what is my LDAP key and my LDAP.pem. Okay. So I just want to see the key name. So that I can my LDAP key. My LDAP.pem. Okay. Country letter 2 code. Okay. IN. State and province. I can go locality name. I can remove organization or a company name. So here I can in the organization. Uh, I can give. Okay, I can leave as is. I can leave as is common name, and that's your server. This is where you have to give the server name. And let me just bring up the server host name, and the host name of the server is this. So I'm going to give this host name. That's my host name where my Ambari server is running. So here you need to give the home one. If you remember, if you see that here, this is my host name here, and the rest of things I can actually leave as is. Email address. Okay, done. So that's how I have created the SSL keys. Now, now after this here, now this is where you have to do a couple of things. Um, like now we are going to create the users and migrate our existing users in the etc passwords uh, in the etc password file to our LDAP server. So it's asking us to, so we'll first edit some lines in our migrate common.ph. Okay, so I will set the number. We'll go to line number 71, and the default mail domain and the default base. The default mail domain and the default base. So generally it's a cgi.com or whatever name, but right now we are using this machine compute.internal. Since actually, if you want to do this entire exercise, we could have given the proper host name from the beginning itself, but relying. So let's say we have it's nevertheless we are assuming that compute.internal is a valid, it's also a valid host name. Compute internal. Internal. And also we are going to edit the line number 90, which is extending schema is equal to 1. Oh, okay, once I've pasted it, now once I've saved it, now we are going to create few of the objects. Now few objects like people and group, if you remember that I was actually given you people and groups. So we are going to create this root, create this directory structure in our base LDIF file. So I'll take up as is the base LDIF file, and I'll just change the entries. I will change just the um, ATOS com. What is that? Do you know that command? How to replace that? I forgot. Percentage S something slash S replace.
/G globally.
What is that?
I mean, last one you have to say G for
No,
globally if you want to replace all the instances.
it starts with S, right?
%S /
Percent S.
yeah,
Percent S
%S yeah,
slash ATOS. I want to
slash
replace ATOS with compute slash G.
compute /G. Yeah, it should work.
Yeah.
It's not working.
No, worked ideally. But did
Okay,
it
great.
change something drastically?
Because it will depend if it find anywhere atos, maybe atos
Yeah,
dot
it's okay.
atos one, so it will
Yes,
replace atos.
yes. Percentage S. I would like to replace com by internal slash G. Right. So it has actually. Uh, I think it has
Got corrupted.
corrupted. Right.
So
Internal.
maybe you can just exit. I think you can exit without saving and reopen this.
It's okay. I can actually cut. Where it got corrupted? I don't know. Let us do that.
Yes.
Uh, compute.
Sajid, are you able to hello Sajid,
Yes, Vibin.
is your screen getting
Yes. No
refreshed?
issue. Yeah, yes.
For
Yeah.
me, I don't know, it's taking, I have a delay, lot of delay, I don't know why.
Oh, should
So
be some
I'll
network issue.
exit and try again. I'll exit.
So we are going to just replace compute ATOS by compute and com by internal. Okay, we have saved this. That's your base LDF file. Now we are going to create some testing users and create the corresponding LDI files for that. Okay, so it's the same. You just need to add this. So users, and then what we would do is to create the users and the group LDF file. So user add. Okay, let me just cut. We are going to user add LDAP user 2 password LDAP user 1. I'm going to use the password for the LDAP user 1 as the LDAP user 1 itself. LDAP user 1 itself. Okay, and the password for the LDAP user 2, I will use the same, which is LDAP user 2. LDAP user 2. LDAP user 2. So the password is the same as the username. Now we are trying to grep all the users which are greater than 1000. The user UID is 1000, greater than 2000, greater than 1000. So grep and slash root password. So if you open this, so we'll have our uh, uh, password file. That means all the users file here. So we have a EC2 user, Zookeeper, AMS, Ambari, HDFS, Yarn, MapRed, LDAP user 1, LDAP user 2. So we have actually all these users have the user ID greater than 1000. So we have captured them. Similarly, we are going to capture all those groups which has the use group ID greater than 1000. Cat/root. So, you have a EC2 user, Hadoop group, HDFS group, LDAP user 1, LDAP user 2. Now we are going to migrate the password file. Uh, the one it looks like the LDIF file, because the LDAP server understands only the type of the file LDIF. So here we are going to migrate that. If you just want to see, have a look, how does it looks like? The users file, how does it gets into your how does it looks like? I mean to say the LDI format. So it will have its domain name, UID, CN, given name, SN. So it will take everything. And if you please also observe EC2 user at compute.internal. Similarly, you will have see this home directory EC2 user. Similarly, Zookeeper, its home directory is taking /home/Zookeeper. I wanted to see for my LDAP user 2. So see this home LDAP user 2 user password. So yes, that's okay. Now similarly, I'm going to password this. We are going to migrate the groups. So again, we are migrated. Now, what we want to do now is to add these files. Whatever files we have we are going to add those files to our LDAP server. Okay. Our is compute.internal, a DC ATOS, compute internal. And remember that the password which you have given is the training. When it will ask the password, I have given the LDAP password as training, so I'll give that training. And it has added the new entry for this root LDIF, the groups and everything. Now we are going to add our users. Invalid credentials, so I will the DC compute.atos has to be replaced by compute, and com has to be replaced by internal. LDAP password.
So
Yeah,
I have one question. We are seeing these many users which are in etc password. These users were, I mean, we didn't manually create these users. Were these users created by the Ambari when we installed the Hadoop?
I have created these two users right now. The other Zookeeper AMS is created by Ambari. These two users I have created right now manually.
Okay, okay, okay. So we are migrating only those users from etc password to the LDAP, right?
We are adding those users to the LDAP.
LDAP. Okay, okay. Thanks so much.
So you assume that we are creating a new server, and we are adding the few users to that. Complete and the groups password training and
So I have one more related question. Actually, I was under the impression since Ambari uses PostgreSQL or database, I was under the impression that it stores all the information, including the user details, into the database. That is not the case, right?
why? But yes, of course, that will store that information for its own purpose. It will create it. Go to the PostgreSQL server and check out the tables. It will have that users and everything got created. But these users and everything are also required. Those information's fine, but there is see it will go it because once these users are for running those specific processes. So
Okay.
whether so those are kind of a Linux users which has been created. Ambari will maintain that list, but even if it does, I'm not sure whether it maintains that. But even if it does not maintain, it's not going to hamper that activity, because as a part of your HTTP installation, these users will be automatically be created.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, and that
Yes,
will,
so
yeah. Now let us check our LDAP search. So we have added our all the users and groups. So assume that you have created a new server as administrator, and now you have added users, and now you want to test. Uh, I wanted to test LDAP user DC is my compute, and com I have to replace by internal, and this has given me everything regarding my LDAP user 2. The LDAP user 2, this is the DM, this is the UID, this is the mail, this is the password, this is blah blah blah. So it has actually searched my LDAP server and given me the result. Okay, now that's the whole, that's one thing. That's, you assume that you have created the LDAP server. Now as a Hadoop administrator, you come and you wanted to integrate your Ambari with your LDAP, so that the LDAP users can automatically log in. So you got my point, right? Why we have created LDAP server, guys? It should be very much clear, though it's a part. Okay, so LDAP is independent. So LDAP
yes,
server is one, like, assume that any new joinee, existing joinee, all have this installation here. All it will be, every information of the users of your organization will be present in LDAP server. Now you are bringing up your Ambari, let's say, and it is maintaining a set of cluster. So this Ambari, we are actually wanted these users. We wanted all of these users to log in. So there are 2,000 users. Does not make sense that in Ambari you create 2,000 users. What you want, let all these users automatically be logged into your Ambari with their LDAP username and password. Now for that, now let us first,
so
yes, tell me.
yeah, I have one more question. Once we migrate the users from etc password, do we need to delete the entries of those users from etc
Not
password?
required. Not required. etc password, why, I hope you, I think you have very, you have a very bad, you have got a confusion here. I don't have any other machine. Do you understand that, right? I don't have any other machine. You understand this? I have only three machines, right? I'm not running a company so that I can have my LDAP server running on some other machine. This
Okay.
is an active directory, or it could be an LDAP server. Okay, LDAP server need not have the entries in the etc password altogether. I am showing you etc password because I have to create somewhere users, right? So that it can
Yes,
be taken out from there. So I am actually installing in my Ambari server. I am actually installing the LDAP server here itself, not on separate machine. I am
yes,
actually the way it has to be, users will be created will be different. But here I am actually creating a user by user add command, and so that the entry goes into the password, and I am entering into my this. I am actually converting this etc password into a file which is recognized by my LDAP server, that is LDI file, and I'm adding it in the real time scenario. You will not do that, and there will be no etc password entry here in the for the LDAP user one, of course, right? Because since in this machine only I am user at LDAP user one. So I hope this is clear that in this machine there will be no trace of your LDAP user one.
yes. So yes, thanks so much for explaining. Yeah, I mean, I got a bit too confused, but yeah, with this explanation, it's clear now.
Yeah. Now what we are going to do, we are going to integrate. Now for that purpose, we are going to first and foremost stop our Ambari server and understand I am using the same machine where the Ambari server is running. So I'll just, on the same machine itself, my LDAP is also running on the LDAP server. On the same machine, my Ambari server is also running. Uh, Now, what we're going to do here is we are going to set up the LDAP. Ambari setup LDAP. Very sorry, Ambari server setup LDAP होना चाहिए. It should be Ambari server. Setting up the LDAP property. So where is my LDAP is running? So let me take up my host name. This is my host name on the same machine on the port 389. Secondary URL. I don't have the secondary URL, but I can give the same machine as my, I mean to say the same host name 389. Use SSL true or false. You can actually let us go with the false. The default value is false. I'll go with the false. Use object POSIX account. So I'll use this POSIX account itself. Um, attribute UID. It's the same UID. We can take it up. POSIX group. Attribute name CN. We are taking the default values. Member UID. A distinguished name DN. Now we have to give the base DN. The base DN here is we have to give OU is equal to people, DC is equal to compute, DC is equal to internet.com. OU is equal to people, DC is equal to compute, DC is equal to internal. Use the referral method ignore. Bind anonymous false. So bind anonymously, we are going to say true. Review settings, yes. Saving done, LDAP setup successful. So once we are done, we'll report, and this is the last step which we are going to do. It is going to sync our Ambari server with the LDAP. Cut copy paste problem. Okay, it says that Ambari server is not running. So let us start the Ambari server. Sudo Ambari server start. Let me actually here I should say start the Ambari server. And let us run this command to sync the LDAP. Enter Ambari admin login. Admin login is admin. Admin password admin. And it is syncing the all. So it has updated, created 9 users, removed 0, users created 9, created 0. Now let us log into our Ambari UI and check out. LDAP user 1, the password I have given as the same as LDAP user 1. Please see that I have actually logged in with my LDAP user 1. But I don't have any views because I have not created any views. Similarly, I'll go with the LDAP user 2 and the password I have given as LDAP user 2 itself, and see that I'm able to log in with my LDAP user 2, but I don't have any views. So I will sign out. I'll log in as my admin, and let me give some views to the LDAP user 1, LDAP user 2. Now let me first start my cluster.
So now all these user ID details are coming from LDAP server, right? It's not coming from the local etc.
No, etc. There is as such nothing there. No, because etc. password you will not be able to log in also. It does not.
Yeah.
Ambari does not know about the etc. password. So I will create one user in front of you. I will use that user. It will not recognize that user. Ambari will not recognize the user until unless it is integrated somewhere. It cannot recognize any other
Okay.
user. No. I create one user
Yes.
on my same sudo
Yeah.
user add
Uh,
som sudo password som password som password som. That's it. Now will Ambari will recognize this? No, it will not.
no, no, it won't. Yes.
But
So
I can add it to my user's ID. I
LDAP.
like again. I can add it up again. If I enter into my user and again I sync it, it will be done.
Yes. So by default, this admin user is it stored in the? Actually, my doubt is we are still able to use admin, and this admin is not part of etc password. So
Of
where
course,
is this admin stored?
it's related to your Ambari. Ambari will store in its database.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Yes. So thanks so much.
Okay, so after, once it has got started, we'll go to the our user section and then click on the permissions, and then we'll give our um, users and role. What is that role and all those stuff we can actually provide them. Okay, now I'll go to my manage Ambari. Users. These are my two users. I'll click on OK. I'll click on permissions. See, in the users, you can create the local users also. But there is no point in creating a local user. How many local users you can create? I can create one local user by name Som. Let's say Shekhar. Status active, password also I give Shekhar. Password confirmation Shekhar. But how, and how many, I would say, for how many users I will create it? I can, for example, let me sign out. So you assume that for some user you're going to Shekhar, password as Shekhar. You assume that there is one user by name Shekhar. Correct? You have logged in. So how many users you will such create? There is no point. If you are already one guy, that's your LDAP server is storing the list of all the users, why you want to take the pain? Manage Ambari. use permissions. I can click on the permissions now. Okay, I can use LDAP user 1 as my, okay, grant. I wanted to use LDAP user 1 as a read only. Both LDAP user 1, LDAP user 2. Done. And I say okay. I log in as my now sign out. LDAP user 2. Now can you see that? Now everything is coming up. But I click on the HDFS, I don't have anything to restart and anything. There's nothing there. Can you see that? Yeah. I don't have here, you remember actions were coming up, service actions, all the stuff. I don't have any flexibility to do anything. I'm just in a read only mode. So it's fine. I have just a read only mode. Can I add anything? I don't have the flexibility to add also. I'm just a read only. Is that clear?
Yes.
Let me make LDAP 1 as my operator so that he can also operate. Now I'll enter as a LDAP 1. So again, he's an operator, but I think, yes, I do have a service starts and all those stuff I have given to that guy because he's an operator. So now you have these two things. Now you can do it. So as many services. So anyone who is coming now, any new user comes to your account. So he will not have any view. So he will ask the administrator, boss, give me some view. Then you will go and create read only or operator view for that particular user. That's it. So that covers that actually one level of I would say it's security, because LDAP has its own security, because LDAP is a way of saying that only the registered users of the company are able to access. So that's one way of securing. So that completes the integration of your Ambari server, integration of your LDAP with your Ambari, integrating Ambari server with LDAP. In the next section, we're gonna see about the Kerberos. That's all for today. Thank you, guys.